finished deconstructing the shirts that originally looked like this. I kept one for the top bodice of the final dress, and then the other four I cut off all the armbands and collars, and then also cut up the rest of the shirt into more manageable, versatile pieces so I can play around with style and options. The skirt part here is really cool. I took the front of the shirt, left and right, and pinned it to the back of the shirt. So I have a bigger piece of fabric to play around with. And then the sides are the yoke of the back of the shirt. So beneath the collar where they normally have the reinforced double fabric, I cut it open with a seam ripper and fold it over the top so it's narrow but not the bottom. And therefore it could be a nice sort of flare additive to the skirt to give it more volume. And here's another yoke that I might use as the waistband. And then these are collars. Just cut off the button still on them, but they might add a nice little side tie look. So overall, it's one of those like wrap dresses sort of look. Really flowy and voluminous in the skirt. I really like it, but I wanted to try another option too. So this one is kind of more that log and look pinafore apron style dress. The side piece is super cool. So I took the same ideas over here with the front and back of the shirt, but I folded it at an angle up here and then made this part right here be the top. So it ends up hanging right here at an angle. So this angle here is where I've pinned the front and back of the shirt together. You get one line. And then the cross angle over here is the original button line of the front of the shirt. So it makes kind of a asymmetrical angular hang, which is really flattering, adds a lot of volume, and is pretty interesting with the crisscross. Like it looks like you have a pocket there, but you don't. So, I mean, I suppose I could add in extra fabric piece and make it a pocket, but I just like it. That's what I did on my wedding dress, is on the sides added that sort of fold the fabric, pin it at the top, kind of crisscross angle hang, and it's super cool. So that I did for the one side, and then on the other hip I just reversed the fold side so you have kind of the mirror effect. But yeah, and then this is another yoke, could be the waistband, and then this is an additional front of a shirt, so keeping the buttons and buttonholes intact, you don't have to redo it. I might even take this flare piece from the other dress and move it over, put it in here, tucked up around there, so that it adds fullness down to this lower angle here in the dress. And then, yeah, the fuller the skirt, the better, right? And let's try the ties over there too, because I really like that look. I'm just playing with my pieces. Sure looks like an apron, but I love that. I don't know why people don't wear aprons all day, every day. It's just such a cool look. The shirt, so now it kind of comes down. I'm pretty sure I'm sticking with this skirt. It's way too cool not to use. So it's about finding what kind of top sort of doesn't detract from the interest in the lower skirt. I'm not so worried about sun protection in this dress because I have enough topper pieces I can use if it's blazingly hot out, but I don't really like the way it goes all like whomp without definition. I either want long sleeves or sleeveless or a little like cap sleeve that's flared. But let's see. I'll play around with it and let you know what I come up with. So since I'm sticking with this skirt as the skirt of the dress, I do have this extra piece. The thing is, I could put this in the front of the dress like that, nested in amongst the angles like that, and it would add a lot of fullness to the skirt and length like that. So I'll probably pin it up pretty good, like accurate to how I envisioned it, and then try it on and see how I like it. That's the long version, which is kind of like a really nice full house dress. I could keep this front of the shirt only and have, you know, like is shorter in the front and then do longer in the back. So when you have cute like Western boots or hiking boots, it just kind of completes the look and you can see the boots. You can also enjoy the angles and points of the skirt over here without it being smothered by a whole bunch of fabric in the front. Or I could somehow add in this extra piece. Again, I could do an angle since I don't need to button it all the way down to get into it. I could have that somehow be kind of free floating, but create another point in the hem of the dress. A fourth option could be to take this extra yoke piece and keep this pointy front addition there for interest and edginess, but insert the yoke up here like an external string kind of thing, you know, that tucks up the bottom, pulls it up. You know how curtains kind of do that, where it's like lifts it in one little point and gives it some kind of little interest. So when you walk, it's kind of like a slit, and kind of goes along with that apron feel. Put like a nice button or something there. That would have to be flat. So many factors. It's fun. But anyway, now that I have the general idea of the type of dress that I want, I think the first place to start, since I don't have a pattern, is to figure out the connection between the top and bottom here where the button and buttonholes are already existing, because from that point I can build to my size and integrate the little aspects and components that I like, but I want that part to be one continuous opening so that I can get in and out of the dress and don't remain stuck outside of it. Now I want to be able to not always have to suck my belly in, so these pieces that add volume and fullness to the skirt are really cool. As long as where they begin, or the waist line, is high enough. So I held the shirt up to me, and right about here is where I want the lowest pinch point to be. If I want to add a higher band for effect or reinforcement, it's got to be above that lowest point. So from here is where I'm going to attach my freshly cut line lower piece, adding enough fabric so that I can tuck it over, but it's going to end up being like right about there. So the simplest way I can think to integrate this bottom piece with the shirt part is to bring it up in alignment, sew this part, the buttonhole side, just above the lower buttonhole, which is where I want my waistline. Sew it like that, and then cut away the under buttonhole and shirt fabric so that you're left with the attachment here, but only one buttonhole. And then same with the button side, where you bring it up here, sew it just above, and then cut away the under button down there and its fabric so that you're attached, but this button is going to only button through this buttonhole. And it should a little variation on that actually. So I do have it still tucked and pinned up there to show that it will become open and free, which is what we're looking for. But I'm not going to cut away the excess right now because it adds a nice sort of reinforcing layer, sort of, instead of interfacing. So I'm going to just button that button to the under buttonhole, and it's going to be kind of like an invisible closure there. But it looks good for the next step. Now I've got to put this shirt on and figure out the exact size that I want it to be around this waist area. I'm not going to worry about the top right now because I'm going to be changing that, but I need to know how much space I have, like is it this much space or this much space, to put my other pieces up into and create that skirt connector section. So yeah, whether I want to do darts like that, I probably will, to bring in the fabric, add thickness, and sort of a tailored look up there. or if I do a drawstring, either way, I need to find that size before I can do anything else. I'm going to be hand sewing the whole dress, so I want to make sure the seams are nice and strong and sturdy for all the wear it'll be getting. And so rather than doing the normal kind of stitch where you put right sides together and just sew it and then you have that raw seam on the interior of your dress, I'm going to be doing French seams where you put wrong sides together like this, and then I'm just doing like a basting stitch to hold it loosely together, and then you go back and fold the seam within itself, see, kind of like that, with the right sides together, and from the back sew another seam stitch across, and so the inside of your dress will look like this, but with the stitches on it. So it's going to be a lot more durable and not have that fraying potential.